Okay, welcome to Politics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, at 8 p.m. Stephen, the independent thinker. Keith, the constitutional conservative. And my cousin Todd. We've got a full show for you tonight. President Biden explains to Americans his plan to reduce inflation as gas prices continue to rise. Voters head to the polls for primaries in Nebraska and my family's home state of West Virginia. And we run out of baby formula. NASCAR with Stephen at Darlington, where Joey Logano bumped his way to a win. The White House prepares for a cold weather wave of 100 million COVID infections because the United States may run out of money and not be able to pay for each and every one of our COVID-19 tests and our vaccines. NBA playoffs 2022, Joel Embid and James Harden and the entire Sixers team breathe life into this series against Miami, which is starting right now. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden visits Ukrainian war zone. Long shot Rich Strike wins 148th Kentucky Derby. Marjorie Taylor Greene has won her court battle. What does she win? The Miami Grand Prix from South Beach's Week in Sports. Our U.S. Navy sailors say aircraft carrier had multiple suicides occur crew members and that the aircraft carrier was inhabitable. We'll talk about why. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wants to get every senator on record about abortion rights before the November election, when voters will decide which party controls Congress and more if we can fit it in. First up, Stephen, I guess we can start with NASCAR. Since you're here, let me see NASCAR 1. Watch this.
He's got a good run on him.
2 to go. Doing the same thing down here. Running outside, picking him up. Got to the gas a lot sooner, Bill.
Now the 24 car looks pretty loose.
Coming to the white.
It's the last lap.
Oh,
he hit the bumps. Oh, into the wall.
There you go.
Logano goes by.
Wow.
White flag.
Do you
1
think
lap
that
to
was a
go.
bump and
Sponsored
run?
by Credit One Bank.
Wow. Holy.
You saw it coming. That 24 was loose. He was happening to back up in the corner a little bit, but man, he got hit pretty hard there.
The 22 didn't back the corner
Back to
up.
the flag. He got the fencer 8 ahead of Reddick.
Tyler Reddick to second, Byron to third, Haley, Harvick, Elliott, Bell, McDowell, Stenhouse. I told you, every time I talk about a guy, I jinx him. I knew it.
What do you say?
Joey Logano.
Nice job. Check flag.
28th career win. Logano, from the pole to the checkered flag, captures the Goodyear 400.
Well, I'm proud of Chase. He came home from the back to the top 5. So
Grinded that one out. Both of them. The 4 of Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott coming from the back. That's a long day, long, hard-fought battle, grinding it out. But Joey Logano, hey, put the bumper to him and took this race win. That one's going to be tough.
Larry Mack, now what about the race?
All right, that sure took a long time for it to stop. Keith, did you see that bump?
No, I wasn't watching that.
I'm sorry, not Keith, Stephen.
Oh.
Did you see that bump? Now, what happened? Because what I saw or heard was Joey Logano bumped him because earlier that other guy did something to him. What happened?
Oh, he was just going for the win. He can say Byron.
Who was going for the win?
Logano. Logano wanted to win the race. So
yeah, but he bumped into who?
Byron. And he
Byron.
said Byron.
Go ahead.
that Byron had done something earlier to him, but that's really
Right.
not the case. That's kind of a cop out.
How do you know that's not the case and that's a cop out?
Because you're racing the whole race. You know, things will happen. You'll bump into each other every now and then. This is Darlington. This is a smaller track. This is the lady in black. This is a crazy tough track to race on. So I don't think he did anything on purpose, but I think Logano knew the only way he was going to win was to slide into the corner, hit him, put him into the wall, and pass him to win the race. That's what he did. I mean, that's racing. Like years ago, Dale Earnhardt Sr. would say, rubbing is racing. And if you want to win at the end, and if you don't want to make friends, you want to make enemies, because it's going to happen to you. Next week, maybe not next week is Kansas, but there should be another race coming up where it's a short track where he can make up for that. Byron will take Logano out when Logano needs it the most. So it was really crazy. But see, something was funny about Logano to start with, because his parents drove the pace car. His Joey Logano's own Mustang was out there, and his dad was driving it, his mom was riding it, and I was like, I wonder if Logano's going to win this race after all. I wonder if he's going to be in a position to win this race, because his parents drove the car to start with. Everything's kind of funky, kind of like a horse race. All racing, you kind of look at the little weird details of things, and that was a weird detail that I've never seen parents drive the pace car. So that was kind of funny.
And the pace car is the car. Explain it to people like Cousin Todd and Keith who don't know what that means.
The pace car comes out and does a couple laps in front of the cars just to get everybody in line, just to get everybody ready to go. And they set the pace, and then they dump into the pits, and the rest of the cars go into the finish line and start the race.
Okay, so let's. What were you gonna say?
I think it was just kind of funny that his parents were there.
Yeah, that is
and then
unusual.
And it was dirty. It was a little dirty, but that's racing. If you want to win, sometimes you got to put somebody in the wall. So I don't blame him.
All right, let's look at this. What happened also with racing?
Will the 19 stay with 20? The 19 stay with 24 does. 3 wide.
Oh, wow. That ain't going to work out.
Oh, Truex.
Hold on to it.
Here it is. Bush. Well, you said it wasn't going to be the last one. You were right, Bill.
That didn't work out.
A lot of big cars, heavy hitters in this wreck. Bubba Wallace, that just took out
Truex,
all of 2311 racing right there. Hard hit for Kurt Busch.
I'm afraid that's not going to be end of it either.
No.
I think there's going to be more.
You saw 19 slip up, had to get out of the gas, and we talked about it with Ross Chastain. You lose that momentum, they freight train you on both sides, put him 3 wide.
Put you in a bad spot.
Yeah.
You know, there's sometimes you're a victim of somebody else, or you make the mistake once. It's on the restart. You know, pretty wild from the restart here. The 24 and the 22 both had good starts. So did the Truex and the 3 car, or the 8 car, Reddick. But just when the 19 lost some momentum, then he got stuck 3 wide, and he was in a tough spot. There you go. Wow, we got hit hard in the back. Chase did by the 45.
Yep.
Kurt Busch.
Could have been a lot worse. Several cars, handful of cars out on that, but you're right. He checked up, moved up. See the 4-car wiggle? I think it got his eye, moved up at least a little bit, got in the outside of Stenhouse, into the car on his outside, turned him around, and man, watch his hit for Kurt Busch.
Oh, that was a tough one. Wow.
Look, that car, or the wall giving like that, I'm telling you, these cars are tough, and they don't show the hit quite like they used to. But when you see a wall move that much, that's a big hit.
Ryan Blaney will give us this look from his Advanced Auto Parts cam.
Wow.
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.
All right, we always have to do that because, you know, we have to let them know who gave the video. That's just the way it goes. It's like sponsorship, but it's not.
Stacey.
But go ahead, talk about that clip. Talk about that clip, Stephen.
Hey, see, Stacey, that's when I turned the TV off. The first time I'll see it, if I didn't have to work today, I would have watched the end of the race today. But I turned it off at that point because I was disgusted. I was so mad. I was done with it. I had Kurt Busch. He's a team member with Bubba Wallace. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he was out of there. I was saying Kurt Busch was out of there.
Oh, I was so sick because he had probably a top 5 finish. He's really good here. It was a great pick. I had everything. And if he had won, I wouldn't have had to go to work today. I had everything on him. It was so good. He was the perfect guy for this race because nobody generally under 30 wins this race. You have to be a race car driver, old school race car driver like Kurt Busch has been racing forever, and he has the experience and to win races like this. So it was a great pick, and it was just really sad for the whole team because every driver raises everybody else's boat. So if he does well, the rest of the team does well. And Bubba was in the top 10. Bubba was doing well. It was just so horrible. I turned it. I put a movie on or something, which I shouldn't have. But I get so hurt when it happens like this, and it's been the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
And I'm due for a good race now. I'm really due because I just got wiped out. It was just pathetic. It was a throwback race. If you notice the cars, they were cars that had paint schemes from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And it was just such like an emotional thing that if you've been a fan for 40 years or more, you could see all these old cars and that meant something to you then. It means something now. And the cars now are more like stock cars used to be. So it was a really good race. And I'm going to go back and watch the last 20 laps, but it's just really burns and really stings. So it's racing. That's what you get from racing. You can't really expect more than that because you never know. And that's what makes racing, NASCAR and other kind of races, so much fun and just so interesting because you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, I thought it was exciting. I enjoyed it.
It was. Yeah.
Doesn't look like Cousin Todd enjoyed it.
Todd probably.
No, ma'am.
Todd
no,
would if
but
he gave it a chance.
I did see that Miami thing, Formula One, I think it was. I watched a little bit of that. A lot of stars were out. It was okay.
Okay, so let me play. Okay, let me play the clip for Formula One because that seemed to be exciting to a lot of people. Watch this.
What's up, everyone? Chelsea Sherrod inside the PNC Bank Sports Corner. The world's greatest athletes, actors, and all-around celebrities made their way to Miami for the F1 Grand Prix, and so did a few GOATs. There's Serena Williams, Gabrielle Union, and Dwayne Wade, and these are the GOATs that showed up. Tom Brady posting a picture standing with Lewis Hamilton, Michael Jordan, and David Beckham. How many championships between all of them? Well, Lewis Hamilton and Tom Brady each have 7 world championships. MJ's got 6 rings, and Beckham's got 6 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, and a Champions League title. So you do the math. But first, here's some more numbers for you. This combined net worth of this photo, $2.59 billion. This picture is worth much more than 1,000 words. PNC Bank, helping to make banking easier.
So, okay, Cousin Todd, you were excited because you saw those stars and all that money.
No,
and all that.
No, Venus was there. Not Venus. I saw Serena. They said Venus was there, but I saw Serena. What, you can't hear me?
No.
Steven?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can't hear Keith. Keith was trying to
say
something.
I'm sorry. I unmuted. I muted Keith. Go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry. Todd was talking about Formula One. He was so excited about seeing Serena Williams there, the tennis player, that he doesn't even know who won Formula One. Who won it?
No. I
Serena
wasn't interested.
Serena won.
Right. We know.
I wasn't interested.
We know.
I'm just saying how the different stars were out, the athletes. Serena, and I saw Michael Jordan. Who else did I see? The football player who's Keith's hero, the Great White Hope. The one who's around 65, still playing football. What's his name again?
Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah, that's him.
The GOAT.
So anyway, he was there. Just a few people I watched. Some people I didn't know.
So for those people who don't know, because Todd doesn't know, Max Verstappen won Formula One. He is a Belgian Formula One world champion, and he competes under the Dutch flag. That's who won. Todd didn't even say and didn't even care who won. That's who won.
Good, good. Those guys are really great drivers, but they wouldn't make it in NASCAR.
Well, NASCAR, they're going 200 miles an hour, right?
I mean, they're going faster in their little light cars too, but they couldn't make it in NASCAR because NASCAR is a whole different animal. You have to every race genre needs people that are great for it. So those F1 people are great for what they do, but they couldn't go to NASCAR, and a lot of NASCAR drivers couldn't go to F1. It's just the way they sometimes they can cross over, but it's just Formula One is awesome.
How do you know, Stephen?
NASCAR
How do you know?
is
You've
awesome.
driven both, right?
He knows you don't know.
I'm driven more than you have, Todd.
He knows you don't know. But I want to move on to
Todd drives an electric chair.
So Stephen, can you talk about the fight this weekend? I didn't get a clip for the fight. Can you talk about the fight?
Which fight?
Which fight do you want to talk about?
The fight between you and Keith that broke you. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. Just forget I said anything.
Oh, me and Keith are tight, and we've never had a fight.
Never will. Sorry, Todd. So which fight do you want to talk about?
I don't know which fight.
Oh, okay. I'll move on then.
It was a heck of a weekend for me.
All right. I'm glad I didn't bring the clip up. Let's look at this.
Time now for our White Claw race replay. What do you guys see as we look back?
Well, first of all, he did a fantastic job, Sonny Leon, getting from the 21 post down into the inside going into the first turn. And now this is going into the far turn. He had moved around one horse. He's in the two path right now. And he's going to move around one more horse that doesn't seem to be running very fast. And he's moving. So Sonny Leon guides in between horses. And now he really starts to accelerate, and he'll move back in. As he approaches the middle of the turn, watch him move back to the inside rail. That was a really big move right there, because then the table is set for him to just run up the rail as the other front runners tire.
Epicenters 2.5 lengths in front there. He was further back than usual early, but he handled it beautifully. Stormed to the lead. Sandon had a dream trip along the rail for most of the race. He swung out perfectly. It was the battle between the two horses we thought were the best. And out of the clouds, a lightning strike from Rich Strike. I think all of us were focused on that battle. Here are the two terrific horses battling here down the stretch, and just look at the move.
Yeah, he actually had just a tiny bit of anxiousness there. He had to steer around Messier, who was stopping directly in his path. Horse didn't mind.
Look, Jerry and I have been doing this a long time, right? 80 combined derbies for you two. We had to look up how to pronounce Sonny Leon with you. We talk to trainers all the time. I don't believe we've ever spoken to Eric Reed. It's possible, but he did a fantastic job.
He rode him like he's won 3 derbies already.
That was our White Claw race replay.
Okay, that was absolutely amazing. Did you see where that horse came from? I mean, I wouldn't have bet. I wouldn't have betted for that horse.
I would not have bet.
I would not have bet.
Nope. Nope.
I wouldn't have bet. He was a long shot, right?
The longest shot.
He was a Rich Strike. His name was Rich Strike. Was a long shot. I would have never bet. So if anybody won a lot of money off of that, I say the fix was in.
Very few.
I say the fix would have been in. But did you see how that horse? Did you see how that horse came around? You see how far he started back, and then how he ended up winning. It was amazing that jockey was able to maneuver that horse through all those horses. And I know you didn't see it, Todd, because you were too busy reading your notes. But Stephen, I know
I
you
did
saw
see
it.
it.
Yeah,
You
I
didn't
watched
see him
it.
maneuver.
Yes, I
Oh,
did. And
I
he
was-
came and from the inside too. I don't know why they didn't block him out from that inside.
because it was
You know,
fake.
usually that's what they'll do. They'll block you out, make you go around.
You're right, Todd. You're right. You're exactly right, Todd. Because the
Mhm.
fix was in. The fix was in.
Oh
They didn't
my
let this horse in until
gosh.
Friday. Most people didn't know about this horse. Most
Todd,
people
he's
didn't bet on
agreeing
this
with
horse.
you, man. Come on,
No, I'm
Todd.
not. I
What
retract everything I
happened
just
was
said.
Vegas is building 3 new casinos.
Todd, are you that full of hate?
Vegas is building 3 new casinos just because
Yes,
of this
ma'am.
one race right here. The fix was in. The only people that won was the Vegas, the mob, whatever you want to call it. They won. They won this race because nobody bet on that horse. I had
Okay.
a long shot. I bet on some long shots.
Two
And
things,
that makes
Keith.
sense. This horse came from nowhere.
That's
It
Steven. That's
shouldn't
not
even
Keith.
have been there. That horse
Well,
shouldn't
when you
even have
talk to one,
been
you
in
talk to
there.
the other.
That horse was a
Okay.
donkey. And all of a
You
sudden,
already
man,
said that.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Okay, now
It was a
Stephen,
jackass.
Stephen,
Yes,
two
sir.
things. Two things. Shh,
Okay.
shh, shh. One thing is say no to drugs. Second thing, stay off the dark web with all these conspiracy theories. That's
I'm
all.
just calling
Moving
balls
on.
and strikes and fouls, Todd. I follow sports. You don't think horse racing
Ma'am.
may be a little compromise sometimes, Todd?
Ma'am.
Just like
You
boxing.
still- Todd, do you still believe in Santa Claus?
Yeah, I
Maybe
think he
you
does.
should say no to drugs.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Yeah, that fentanyl is a killer.
Of the party. And rhetoric like this from Marjorie Taylor Greene in 2019 that's just coming to light. Will they embrace this? What's seen in this video uncovered by Twitter user Zedster?
If we have a sea of people, if we shut down the streets, if we shut down everything, if we flood the Capitol building, flood all the government buildings, go in.
The so-called plane that crashed into the Pentagon. It's odd, there's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon.
There is an Islamic invasion into our government offices right now.
Kennedy getting killed in the plane crash. That's another one of those Clinton.
So, okay, cousin
That's
Todd.
Todd's
Marjorie
future wife.
Taylor Greene. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene. What did you want to say about her? I don't even want to. She won her case. And what did she
Yeah.
win, cousin Todd?
The right to run for office again. Right. Now, this is the thing. And see, look at these crazy people. These people are sick. Did you just hear what she said? Did you
I
hear
love
all
it.
those
Yes.
conspiracies?
Yes.
Yes.
I love it. I
Nobody
love that
saw a
woman.
plane.
But why do you
So
love
then
it?
What? Just a minute. Wait a minute. So you're saying 9/11 never happened? Yes?
No, I didn't say that.
No.
I
What
didn't
did
say
you
that.
say? Did
9/11
9/11 happen?
Yes.
Marjorie
I
Taylor
doesn't-
Greene says no. She didn't see no plane running into no buildings. She
I
didn't see
don't
a
She's
believe-
plane.
talking about,
Right into
she's
the
talking about
Pentagon.
one plane to the Pentagon.
Okay, she doesn't believe that happened either.
No,
I don't
that's
base
the only
my-
one she's saying.
That's what she said. She just said it.
Right, but she
I
didn't
don't
say
base
not
my,
the Twin Towers or anything like
right.
that. She just said that the Pentagon.
Oh, so she's just a little bit crazy, not a
No,
lot
I'm just
crazy.
saying everybody has the right to their opinion or
That's
or
right.
in their fact,
Opinion or
and
fact.
we shouldn't shut anybody down. We should let them. If
Uh-huh.
you don't like them, Todd, don't vote for them.
Right.
That's all.
That's
but
right.
I
Thank
want
you,
You
Steve.
shouldn't shut anybody down because shutting her down is the wrong thing to do.
And look, let me just say this: if Stacey would have shown
I
all
want
those
people-
clips, hold on, let me say this: if Stacey would have shown the clips from all the times that Maxine Waters, Representative Maxine Waters, black woman, has said
Listen
all
to him.
kinds of crazy
Hates his
things,
mother.
you would say the same thing.
Todd,
But you know
She
what?
doesn't say all
I would
kinds of
not.
crazy things.
Yes, she
no,
does.
you say that because
No, she
you're-
has said all. She has told the left, the leftist goons and crazies to go
Goons
and
and
confront
crazy.
people. Confront
Yes.
people when you're in there. Yes, and confront them physically. Yeah, let them confront me. I'll
she didn't
confront them
say
all right.
confront them physically.
Oh, yes, she
See,
did.
you just
Yes, she
added
did.
words to it.
Stephen
Just said
is
confront
lying.
them.
He's lying, Stephen.
I
Stephen,
know
you
he
see how
is.
they deny it?
I know.
This is why
He's
I
lying.
say you
No.
hate your mother because
We don't have to
she's
worry about
black, you
Todd.
automatically
Todd ain't gonna
hate
get
her
out there and
because
be
she's
physical
black.
with
So she's
anybody.
And see, you
wrong.
make it a
But
race
Marjorie
issue.
Taylor Greene is right.
No,
because
no,
she's
you're making.
white.
So you
No,
know
you're
what?
making
Are
it.
sick.
I
See,
would
you're making
want.
it a race issue. Wait,
It
he's
is
making
a
it a
race
race
issue.
issue.
You have a racist
Every time
bigot.
it's a race issue. You can't even hear the words that they say for race. So
Oh,
that's
yes, I
it.
can.
I can't
could
trust
hear
you to
her
make
when
any
she
judgment.
said,
No, you
I
can't
could
make
hear
a
her
fair
when
judgment.
she said, let's not go so easy transferring power. We don't have to transfer power. Why should we?
You can't make
That's
a fair
against the
judgment
Constitution.
because you're too focused on race. So I can't trust you. I can't trust
Get
what
out
you
of
say.
here. If you're not
Yeah.
focused on race, then you're not thinking.
Well, you know what I wanted to
Now.
wonder is she's representing a good amount of African Americans in the
She's
Georgia,
not
Atlanta
representing
area.
any.
I wonder what they think about her. I would love them to call in or put in our chat on YouTube. Remember, if you see us on YouTube, please hit subscribe and like. Put in your chat how you feel about Marjorie Taylor Greene representing you if you live in her district. Because, you know, she's saying all this stuff. Is that what you believe too?
A
Do
lot
you
of
believe what she's
people.
saying?
A lot of people
Absolutely
like her
not.
because the people in her district have seen what the Democrat Party has done for them, and what everything the Democrat Party has done for them in her district has been negative. If she can do positive things for people of all colors, then it doesn't matter some of the stuff that she says that we
It doesn't
may think
matter
is
some of the
weird.
stuff.
If she does results like Donald Trump had good
The
results.
lies.
It's all about results.
What has she done for her district? Nothing. She's too busy campaigning for Donald Trump.
She doesn't campaign
And
for Donald
other
Trump. He's not running
right-wing
for
bigots.
anything. Come on, Todd.
She's too busy running with Donald Trump and campaigning for bigots.
Donald Trump has endorsed 56 people, and 56 people have won. So,
Okay,
I
so
think it's smart for
gosh.
people to be on Donald Trump's side.
So someone just put in here, they put in the chat, Keith and or Steven. Wait a minute, let me move it up so you can see it. Keith and or Steven, do you see it in the chat?
No, it was
No,
probably
just read it.
Todd
What does
that
it
wrote
say?
Wait a minute, let me show it.
Negative.
Oh my gosh. Just-
Keith and or Steven, did a plane hit the Pentagon on 9/11?
Well, paper doll, that's what we've been told. I didn't see it, but I'm assuming it's true.
Oh. You're just going to assume it's true.
Because I haven't seen it. Did you see it, Todd?
Ma'am, are you an American?
Ma'am?
Are you an American?
Ma'am?
So in other words, you don't believe, you're like Donald Trump.
No,
You
I
believe
said I never
Putin
saw it, but I'm
over
not
your
saying it
own
didn't
country.
happen. I'm not saying anything didn't happen. I'm saying everybody has a right to their opinion. Whether or not I believe it or not is not relevant because she believes what she believes.
Yes,
I
it
don't
is
know.
relevant.
I'm assuming it happened.
All right. So I would like to ask Paper Doll, does Marjorie Taylor Greene represent you in Georgia? Do you believe that a plane hit the Pentagon and the World Trade Center and got shot down in Pennsylvania?
No, it didn't get shot down in Pennsylvania. The people on the plane took it down.
Well, I guess that's a matter of opinion too.
Oh, you think it got shot down? I haven't heard that.
Who
I heard that
knows?
they rushed. They said, "Let's roll," and they rushed the cockpit.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
what
people with the box cutters, and they
Right.
rushed the cockpit, and the plane crashed because they were fighting. Did
Right.
y'all hear something different? Because I haven't heard that it was shot.
Yeah, I
down.
heard that. I heard that too.
Yeah, but it makes sense that we shot it down because they had
I heard that
warplanes up
too.
there. Yeah, I can see that happening too.
Okay. I can't hear you, Keith. You're on mute. Keith, you're
We're
on mute.
dealing with a mute issue here. The Pentagon. We're talking about that in the past. Does not supersede what is going on now in the economy. I want to ask that same person, whoever typed that in or whatever. I would ask them.
Paper doll.
Do you believe that the economy is because of Joe Biden's policies or Trump's? Remember when Trump was in office, we had everything was great, even in the middle of a pandemic. Everything was going great. As far as our economy goes, we were still surviving. We were, weathering the storm. We were going through it. But now, all of a sudden, it's over. As soon as Biden gets in office, he starts canceling and doing all these things and putting all these regulations back in place.
Okay, let me
canceling the oil.
Keystone Pipeline.
Yes,
and, drilling on federal land.
Keystone Pipeline was not bringing you any money.
Title 42. Yeah, 42. Canceling Title 42.
Don't let them hijack your show,
all of these
Stacey.
things.
You were talking about
No, you don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about that.
And go on with your.
You don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about that.
Is the dark web?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
I don't know what the dark web.
Hang on the dark web and
what is the dark web?
Okay, so this is Paper Doll's response. Paper Doll said, "I believe 9/11 happened, as it was extensively documented and investigated. I don't live in Georgia."
Well, Donald Trump was extensively documented and investigated that he had Russian collusion, and that turned out not to be true. So sometimes you can't believe everything that.
Ma'am, that was true. He colluded.
Oh, Todd.
Yes.
Todd, they've said it's not true. None of that is true. They've come out and said that.
Nobody said that, Stephen.
Yes, they did, Todd. He did not collude with the Russians. He didn't.
Now, you didn't say this before. Back
I have
when
my
you had
problems
a little
with Donald Trump. I do. I have a lot of same problems you have. But some of the stuff that he did was good for this country. Nothing Joe Biden has done is good for this country.
Listen.
That's the contrast.
Okay, move on, Stacey, because I can't go in circles with Trump supporters and conspiracy theorists and dark web hangers.
I support America.
No, you don't. Look,
And so,
he's on mute again. He doesn't know what he's doing. That's why he stays on mute.
So Paper Doll said hundreds of thousands of people died in the pandemic under Trump's watch.
Really? More people died under Joe Biden.
How's that? Where are you getting that from?
Because that's an actual figure. That's an actual figure that more people died under Joe Biden than they did Donald Trump.
Yeah, but wasn't it because of the pandemic that started when Trump was president?
Yeah, but let me say this about Donald Trump and the pandemic.
Trump's fault.
Donald Trump didn't have nothing to do with the pandemic.
I didn't say it was Trump's fault. But
what I did like about Donald Trump was he rushed a vaccine out that shouldn't have been rushed out. He shouldn't have been on the team, the Fauci team, to rush this out. That was a bad decision to start with. That's like I said, I have a lot of problems with Donald Trump.
Well, let me just say this.
Donald Trump still would not condemn Fauci.
Yeah, let me say this in favor of Donald Trump. He also provided all of the needs, all of the things that they needed, all the things they said they needed. We had more than enough. They had to send ships back.
They did not.
They sent ships back because the ships were not needed. The ships full of supplies and full of hospital beds, full of whatever other machinery they need.
Todd, it was a plan to take out a big part of the population and kill a lot of people. That's the plan.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about.
All right, we got to move on because
dark web.
They couldn't do.
We have to move on. You know, I don't like that because you got to have some sort of proof
with all
and some sort of information that you can show us. That
I showed the book last week.
Look, he's going to get the book again. Move on, Stacey. Don't allow these people to hijack your show.
I showed the book yesterday. If anybody cared to read it, if somebody would read it, Stacey,
nobody reads anything
because I know Todd can't read it.
Well, Stacey,
can your mother read it?
No, my mother's dead.
Vice President Mike Pence stopped in the upstate today. He spoke about the leaked Supreme Court draft opinion to overturn Roe v. Wade.
WIFF News 4's Carlos Flores is live in Spartanburg. And Carlos, what did he have to say?
Good evening. Tonight, former Vice President Pence spoke at the Carolina Pregnancy Center's Spring Gala, days after that leaked draft opinion was made public. Now, Pence says this could possibly be a huge win for the sanctity of life. It was a packed house at the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium, and tonight the former vice president spoke to attendees and the media about how he hopes that leaked document becomes a reality.
We may well be in a place where 5 justices of the Supreme Court are poised to overturn Roe versus Wade and give the American people a fresh start on life. by returning the question of abortion to the states and to the American people.
A decision he says should have been left to the states in the first place.
An issue of such magnitude that bears upon the very sanctity of human life ought to fall to the American people and their elected representatives.
He doubled down on these comments in his speech at tonight's gala.
That soon and very soon, the Supreme Court of the United States may well overturn Roe versus Wade and give the American people a new beginning for life.
A fight he believes is beyond politics.
I must tell you, having been involved in the cause of the right to life for all of my adult life, politics is the least of my concerns. I think we have a historic opportunity to restore the sanctity of life to the center of American law, and I welcome that.
Outside of the auditorium, protesters chanted the need for choice and standing together in the midst of a life-changing decision.
Us as women, we are pulling together. We need to have a right and a voice.
Former Vice President Pence says now if this opinion becomes a reality, he believes more resources will be available for young women and unwed mothers who become pregnant. For now, live in Spartanburg, Carlos Flores, WYFF News 4.
Okay, Cousin Todd and Stephen, because my group, you know, Keith, I know Keith, you were, Keith is eating, and I don't want you eating on air, Keith. You're eating. No.
He's so tacky.
Oh, it's the only chance I get.
He's a Trump supporter, so you never
look.
know
I'm
what
a real.
he might
I'm
do.
a real. Look, I'm a reality guy, real life guy. Everybody understands what's going on. So what? All right, go.
Okay,
Go.
so Cousin Todd, go ahead. You want to start with Pence? You know, I found it kind of interesting that Pence as a man would stand up there and say that. Someone has music on in their background. If you could turn your music down, I appreciate it. Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
Yeah. What I was going to say about Pence is I don't know what his fixation is with abortion rights. He will never be pregnant. And so for him to consume himself with this is beyond sick to me. Now, first of all, why would he even, this is not only him, this is most of those radical Republicans. What they do is take on a cause that has nothing to do with them. They can't benefit from it. Why didn't he say no more masturbation? Let's make a law and stop masturbation. And why isn't the men being punished? These men who get these women pregnant.
You mean why aren't, not isn't, aren't, just like you corrected me.
Stacey's hilarious. So, yeah, so they're on this rant about abortion rights. Oh, no, even if you're raped or if you're molested or incest, which is really the same thing, incest and rape. So this is the thing. All men are created equal. You hear that? So they never talked about whether or not women were equal because they weren't and still aren't. It's nowhere in the wait a minute. Stephen keeps going in and out and it's throwing me off.
What do you think what do you think is doing to our listeners?
It's nowhere in the Constitution
That's
about
a
women
tuna.
being equal. So this is what can happen. They can roll back rights on women. Because when the founders said all men were created equal, that's what they meant. Now you have these people using their own imaginations and saying, oh, well, they meant women. No, they would have said so. So the women that have the right to vote now didn't then. So what if they roll that back? Women don't have the right to vote anymore.
All right. So Keith,
if they can control your body, where the state has the right to control a woman's body, just think about that. You're not in control of yourself because you're not equal. You never were equal.
Okay, thank you, Cousin Todd.
If you're
Keith.
not a white man, shame on you.
Okay, Cousin Todd. I mean, thank you, Cousin Todd. Don't keep going on and on. Nobody wants to hear you go on and on. Keith,
Of course, Trump supporters like you and your boyfriends don't.
I'm not a Trump supporter, never have been. Keith, what happens if the Roe versus Wade is overturned and then they stop, what's that marriage? Interracial marriage. Where does
you
it
mean
stop?
take it further? Okay.
They take it further. Then where does it stop?
What? How did interracial marriage get into this?
Well, if they're going to
Because
do Roe versus
one
Wade,
thing
they can
leads
do
to another.
Yeah.
Oh God, I may have to appeal to my friend Aguna on that. I think Aguna is reasonable enough to even know where this is going. I mean, we're going through all these extremes. He likes to
It's
call
extreme to rescind
okay.
a
Anyway,
50-year-old.
I want to make some statements though, really, because Todd is just God. I mean, he just runs off crazy with this stuff. The whole thing about abortions. First of all, let me read to you real quickly. It won't take long. This is straight out of the scripture, and this is where the whole idea of life comes from. Because you're confused and you're worried about all men are created equal, and you think it only applies to men or white men. But here, God says,
separation of
hold
church
on.
and state.
Hold on. Forget that.
Nothing.
No. I know it means nothing to you, but I want to read it anyway.
Or to the
just for those who are reasonable.
Separation of
Now,
church and state.
let me read it real quickly.
Go ahead.
And for those who are reasonable, can understand where the founders got the idea that all men are created equal. Then we'll go from there. All right. It says here in Genesis, all the way back in Genesis chapter 9, starting with verse 5. Verse 5, it says, murder is forbidden. Now, that was before the 10 Commandments. That was in Genesis. That's long before Exodus. And the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. This says murder is forbidden. Man killing animals must die. So in other words, if an animal kills a man, the animal should be put to death. And any man who murders shall be killed. For to kill a man is to kill one made like God. So man is made in the image of God. You, Todd, Aguna, Stephen, Stacy, Keith, even though Stacy is a woman, she's made in the image of God. Every person made in the image of God has the same right. That's why abortion is wrong, morally speaking. But you don't hold to that.
The
That's
death
okay.
penalty is right. So you're a contradiction walking.
Yes, the death penalty is right.
Yeah, I'm a contradiction.
I just showed you 3 times. 3 times God said the death penalty should be exercised in this situation. But you don't believe that. No, it's okay. You don't believe in that.
You say.
No, I know you don't.
You believe in the death penalty.
And that's okay. Here's the whole point.
In war,
I support a Republican idea. This is a Republican idea. I don't support Democrats and their ideas. And that's just the reason that I explained. If you can't take it, too bad. There you go. This is America.
I can't take anything you say seriously. Separation of church and state. And thou shalt not kill except if you're in war, and thou shalt not kill except if there's a death penalty, and which you agree with. So
Stephen, I think you want to come in and say something. Go ahead.
I'm saying it's ridiculous to equate the death penalty with killing children. Is ridiculous because the death penalty means you have killed somebody. You have done something wrong to where you are going to be
I knew
punished.
he was going to say that.
Why are you going to punish a child that hasn't even been born? And if men and women are created the same in the womb, men and women are created the same. So they have the right to everything that all of us on the show have the right to, men and women that are being born. If you take a child from the first trimester, second, third, or fourth, you're still killing a child. It don't matter when you do it. That's a child that you're killing. And it could be more innocent than the child that's in the woman at the time. So to say we don't care about women's rights, we do. Half of the babies are women. Half of the
What
babies
about
are men.
masturbation? Stop masturbating because you're killing babies.
That's not killing babies because
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not fertilizing my masturbation with an egg.
Get out of my face.
I'm not making a
You'll
baby
find
there.
any way out.
To make
Listen
a
to
baby,
me.
I have to have sex.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
Todd
Listen.
needs some sexual education.
Listen
There's
to me.
what's wrong with you, Todd, is you have no idea
Not
about
from
sexual
you,
education.
ma'am.
Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
where your education went wrong, but somebody didn't teach you that it takes birds and the bees, not birds and
Okay.
birds.
Let me say this, and then I'm gonna let Aguna get in here. Let me just say, that little spiel you did. What about a woman can't give birth because she'll die? So when is it okay to abort a child?
It's very rare that a woman's going to die when she's trying to give birth to a child.
Now
Very
he's a
rare. If it
gynecologist.
ever happens, I'm sure they take the
What
life
about
of
an
the woman.
ectopic pregnancy?
Huh?
Huh?
I'm sure they take
Say
the
what
woman
now?
into
He
consideration.
doesn't know
but
about that.
understand
What?
there's-
No, he
Todd,
doesn't know
there's
when.
63 million babies that have been murdered since 1973.
Okay, get to the specifics.
Todd,
What about rape?
I
What about
want you to
incest?
have an
What about an
abortion
ectopic
anytime you want an
pregnancy?
abortion, Todd. Why are you fighting so hard for abortion? You can't have one.
You don't
Stephen,
know
he
that,
asked you about
ma'am.
rape and incest.
Yeah, but he wants
Right,
to
what I
flip
said
it.
was that is very rare. What is that, 1%?
Rape and
So
incest?
what? So
It's very
so
rare. Yes, it is. That somebody's going to get
it's
pregnant
very
from rape
rare
and
that
incest
anybody
is a
gets
very
raped.
rare
But
occurrence.
it happens, correct?
I understand.
Okay,
it
and so what are you
happens,
going to
but
do
does
about that?
justify
So
99%
do they get an
of the
exception?
abortions that did not come from rape or incest? Does that justify
No,
that?
we're asking. It's a blanket law, though. So we're
What I'm
asking,
saying
what
is
about specifically?
the baby that's growing did nothing wrong. I don't care if it was from a rape or incest. That baby did nothing wrong.
There you
What did the
go.
baby do
So
wrong?
so she gets victimized twice, according to you.
No, she could have a baby that's a very good.
She don't want to
That's
have
a very
a
good
baby
person.
by a rapist.
I understand that. And Todd, you and I are
You
not
have
in
a
that
baby by a
situation.
rapist.
Right. I
Wow.
understand that. But we're not
Okay.
in that situation. And nobody wants that to happen to anybody.
So,
All right,
Stephen,
this is dumb. I gotta move on. You guys sound
Well,
really.
let Aguna come in here first.
Go ahead, Aguna.
so it's interesting. So it's interesting that Keith, he was talking about the Bible, right? And he went to the Old Testament, right? And if you believe in the Bible or the Old Testament, which is the history of the Jewish people, because it's the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the reason why Jesus came back to provide a new covenant with man is to supersede what was done in the Old Testament, which was very draconian.
Extreme.
God was
Yes.
very, hey, I will smite
Eye
you
for
if
an
you
eye.
ever go
Kill.
out and do
Right.
things. But Jesus taught forgiveness. Jesus taught understanding. Jesus taught empathy. He only got mad one time, that's when people were selling indulgences in his father's temple. He kicked all those people out because they were profiting off of his word. Sort of what you're doing, Keith, trying to use the word of God to your advantage. So here's the thing, and this is what I've always said. There's a role of government to stay out of our private affairs, okay? When it comes to abortion, it's between the person, their God, their doctor. There's every situation is different. It's a very hard decision for a woman. I know people who have had to get abortions who didn't want to get abortions, but they had to do it because of medical reasons.
Exactly.
And there are and women go through miscarriages and things like that. And the thing about this legislation, it's also about women's health and women's access to healthcare and contraception and those type of things. Now, that being said, what the Supreme Court is doing is they're saying, hey, it's not for the federal government to decide these things. If we do, they need to pass laws. Congress needs to do their job and pass laws in order to, make it a law of the land or not. And of course, in Congress, there's a stalemate because there's no supermajority in the Senate. So what they're doing, they're pushing it back on the states. So what's going to happen is the states are going to decide, and states who want to ban it will ban it, and people will have to go across state lines in order to get it. But at the end of the day, I just want the government to leave women's bodies alone. Leave people alone. Let us prosper. Because it is a hypocrisy to, on one hand, say, hey, we want to mandate things when it comes to critical race theory and all the culture wars that we agree with. But then when it comes to these things that other people who are U.S. citizens are voting on and have agreed with, and people who said they were going to be on the Supreme Court said was established law, now all of a sudden, because we agree on it, we think that it's okay to go back on it. And the thing is a slippery slope.
Because what's happening is if the Supreme Court's ruling on this, there are other things that are going to be liable. And there are other things, if the Democrats decide to stack the court, they're going to just bring it back the other way. So we got to be very careful when we see these institutions acting political, especially when things are going, over superseding laws that impact your ability. Because again, you saw it with the vote. You saw it. Now you're seeing it with abortion rights. Now you're going to see it. We're going to see it soon with same-sex marriage and all those things. And again,
absolutely.
Look, whether I agree with them personally or not is one thing, but I think the government needs to stay out of people's private affairs when it comes to these type of things. Because again, if they do it with this, there's no telling what else they're going to do it with.
And don't they want smaller government?
What is
you want to take away women's rights for abortion, but then you don't want to give people health care and things like that. You don't want to give them access to contraception and things like that.
The first obligation
That's the next thing to go for.
But, in certain,
obligation of government, the first obligation of government, according to the Declaration of Independence, to secure these rights, right to life, liberty, property. The life of the unborn child.
But you were quoting the Old
preserved.
Testament. How many wives did Abraham have in the Old Testament? How many wives did Abraham have?
That's not relevant.
I got the New Testament.
That's not proven.
Not relevant.
Okay, so we have a comment.
Let's cherry pick.
So
last week it was scary. Now we're going to cherry pick.
I could show you the same thing in the New Testament, but you wouldn't.
Where? What are the Beatitudes? Say the Beatitudes, Keith.
Okay. You guys want to talk and talk and talk. We have a comment. If you look at the screen, Paper Doll says, Keith and or Stephen, what if a woman, a relative of yours, was raped? You will force her to give birth to her rapist child. What about in cases of incest? And then here's another one from Paper Doll. What about if the mother's life is in jeopardy? Are you both saying no abortion ever in any circumstance? Be honest. First, Keith, please answer that question.
Yes, if those are easy questions for me. If the situation came to a life for life, I would take the life that could be the life that could be most saved. In other words, it's like a drowning river. If I get into a drowning situation and I have my brother and my sister drowning, I can't save both of them at the same time. Who am I going to save? The one that I could reach first. And I have no guilt, no feeling, ill feelings about that. God would help. God would preserve the other aspects of it because both of my sister and brother are in charge. So Keith, the child. Hold on.
If a woman, there's the question. If a woman, a relative of yours, was raped, you will force her to give birth to her rapist child, or if she was raped in incest, you would force her to give birth to the rapist child.
I would not force anything because I can't make the decision for her. The problem is you guys are acting as if abortions are illegal or nowhere in the country can you get an abortion. All you have to do is come to California. The governor has already said, even against my wishes, the governor said it will continue. Okay, so there. So what the hell are you scared about?
So the other question, other question, Keith, is what if the mother's life is in jeopardy?
I just explained that if the mother's life is in jeopardy, you save the life that can be saved. If both can't be saved, one of them surely can be saved. You save the life that is that is easiest to save. Now, doctors have to make that decision all the time.
All right.
My grandmother, my grandmother, she they put her to sleep. Well, they gave her the morphine drip, and she died peacefully. She was 99 years old. We said, Grandma, are you ready to go? And she said, yes. Okay, so we let her go. That's basically the way it works.
So this question is for Stephen.
She's 99. She's not in childbearing years. We're talking about a girl, a teenager, and her.
We're talking about life.
If a relative of yours was raped, will you force her to give birth to a rapist child? What about in cases of incest?
I would never force anybody to do anything, but I want people to understand that at any point after conception, that you kill that life that's living inside you, you have murdered somebody. That's all I'm saying. Do whatever you want. Go out and go on a murder spree. I don't care.
Okay.
Go kill kill 1,000
Look at
people,
these
I don't
two
care.
demons.
But if you have an abortion, you are killing a baby. That's
Okay.
Don't piss down my neck and
Okay, wait a minute, Todd. They have to answer the question that people are
saying.
saying.
If you want to have an abortion, have an abortion.
Keith.
But all of this is about states'
But
rights.
you're giving you're so you're for free choice. You're saying all that, Stephen, to say you're for free choice.
I'm saying
You're for
if you want
choice.
to go to a state like Keith is saying that allows
No, but you're saying it's their choice. You're saying it's their choice. It's their right to choose. That's what you just said.
Don't tell me you're not killing your baby.
Okay, wait a minute. No, I want him to answer the paper dolls question, and then says, "What about if the mother's life is in jeopardy? Are you both saying no abortion ever in any case?" Well, for you now, Keith already said his point.
That's
Stephen,
what they're saying.
We're saying
Paper
if there's
doll.
somebody's
They're
life
crazy.
is in jeopardy, which it's very rare for the mother's life to be in jeopardy. When she's pregnant. That is
That's not the point. Answer the question.
From the Planned Parenthood people.
You're trying to qualify it. Answer the question.
Lives are in jeopardy. You know what they say? There's a lot of women like they're in mental jeopardy. They have mental issues if they have this baby, so they shouldn't have it.
I'm glad you're choosing for a woman. See,
okay, so
you have
paper
mental
doll,
issues, Stephen.
Excuse me, paper doll says so. All women have to do, read that, is hop on their private jet and fly to California.
That's
well,
right.
Everyone can do that. What was I so worried about? Sarcasm in case y'all missed it.
Please, somebody, please help me kill my child.
They missed it.
Please help me kill my baby. Please help me
See,
kill my baby.
this is why you can't have. And see, what Stephen and Keith are doing is why you can't have an educated conversation around this. See what they're doing? There's no empathy.
Or have incest.
This is no empathy. This is why the far right and extremists
out of convenience.
All right, we got to move
see
on.
and see what. Again, this is why there's no educated debate around this issue. What Keith and Stephen are doing and what they're saying is that your choice doesn't matter. Their opinion matters more than your choice. Their perspective on things matters more than your choice as an American because they perceive it as being murder. They perceive it as being, so they want to impose their opinions on women's bodies just because they can out of privilege versus having empathy for the person that's going through it. You don't know what this woman is going through. It's not like these, and so it's very rare that someone's doing it out of convenience, in my opinion.
It's not rare.
You're saying you're going to terminate a life. Even if you can call it what you want, you can call it murder. Let me finish. Can I finish? You can call it what you want. You can call it murder or what you want. But this is a very hard decision for anybody to do. It's not something that they're going to do like they're chewing bubble gum. So if you call yourself a human being and you really want to have an educated, logical conversation, you would see that, hey, you know what? If they have to make this hard decision, let me as a white man or an angry black man, Uncle Ruckus like him, let me stay out of it and let them decide that as a U.S. citizen. Let me not impose, again, you got to talk over me because I'm being logical. Let me not impose my will on this person. Let them make their own decision. I have a right to own a gun. I have a right to do all these things, but you can't make this hard decision, which I know is going to be hard for you to do. Because, again, nobody's out here saying, let's all go get abortions because we can. It's a very hard decision. It's a surgery. You have to put yourself under the knife. They are going through a tremendous amount of stress, and they go through mental anguish. So this whole perception that somehow this ghetto queen or somebody has a bunch of babies and they're going out there getting abortions because they can, it's not the truth. Some people have to do it because they're saving the life of the mother. And you have to have empathy for that situation if you're ever going to have a logical conversation around it.
Okay, thank you.
Good for you.
And again, it's for someone like a Keith and a Stephen to joke about this. Look at I want all our viewers to look at these guys' faces right now. Look at those faces. Those are the people that are opposing and are trying to support and take away your rights because it's convenient for their opinion. They want to impose their rights on you because it's convenient for them, not because it's important to you as a citizen. Look at their faces. Look at them.
Look at their faces.
That's the face of inhumanity. That's the face of anti-democracy, but yet they'll say they're for democracy. But look at their faces. They're not for democracy. They're for their determination of democracy.
Your people on your side burned down.
Look, I didn't see my people, my side. People like me who want you to have a choice.
Are burning down people who are anti.
Yeah, we're doing all of that, Stephen. Yeah, because you say so. Because you're logical and you say so, that's the truth.
You haven't seen the news from Wisconsin? where they're
What are you
burning,
talking
they
about?
burnt
What are
down
you
a
talking
place
about, man?
that was
I know
pro-life.
on this show, what we're talking about right now, me and the audience, listen, look at Stephen and look at Keith. Look at what they're saying. Listen to what they're saying. I mean,
are pro-life. You're
I have a question.
everyone's pro-life.
All right.
Everyone's
Okay, we
pro-life.
gotta
That's
move
a
on.
misnomer.
We gotta move
I have a
on.
question.
Nobody's
Stacey.
out here
Go ahead.
saying, hey, let's all get abortions. Nobody's saying that. But I
All right,
will
go
say
ahead,
this,
Keith.
if
3
that's the
million
choice, that's the hard
abortions
choice you have
since
to make. It's not up to
1973.
the government to determine
Okay,
it. It's
let
up to
Keith bring
you
in.
and your
It's up
doctor
to
and
the
your
Let me
guidance.
let me
It's
just
up to
Go
say,
ahead, Keith. Go
yeah.
ahead, Keith.
What ethnic group receives the most abortions?
African Americans.
Probably.
Look,
Fighting for
guys,
more
look.
African Americans
but
to
Black
die
That
Lives Matter.
you're still you're avoiding the point. You're avoiding the point.
40%
Black
of
If
Lives
that's
African
the
Matter.
case,
Americans
give
have died
give
from
the
abortion.
African Americans
It'd be
access to
40%
health care.
more
Give the
African
African Americans
Americans if
access
it
to
wasn't for
contraception.
abortion.
Give
What
the
you fight for
go out
is your own
go out and
demise.
adopt an African
You're
American
fighting for your
child.
own
Go out and
demise.
adopt a child. Do something
40%
He's
about it
gonna
instead of
adopt
complaining
no
about. Don't
have
speak for
black
abortion.
African
child.
Americans
You're
if you've
fighting
never
for
been in
your
that
own
situation.
demise. You make no
Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
Oh, of course
You
I
can't
don't.
hear
Because you, Stephen, you
Stephen.
are the most logical person. So you
40% of
saying I
African
make no sense, I
Americans
must be on
have
the right track.
abortions. You're,
All
Hey,
right.
Stephen.
There would be a
Black
lot of
Lives
issues.
Matter. Black
It
Lives
Stephen,
Matter.
listen.
Nobody's saying that they don't. Nobody's saying that they don't. It's just, hey, in America, you have choices.
You might as
That's
well
all.
be with
That's
the
all we're saying. You have
KKK.
choices.
You
All
are
right.
on the side of the KKK says, let's have more abortions.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
kill
because
more
that
black
actually makes
babies.
sense. That
Let's
actually
kill more
makes
black.
sense.
You're
When it's
KKK.
again,
Let's go burn a
that
cross.
actually makes sense, Stephen.
Okay, Stacey. Now
What do
it's
you want me to
time.
do, Todd? What do you want me to do,
Yeah,
It's
I'm
Todd?
on the
What do you
side
want
of
me
the
to do,
KKK.
This
Todd?
is all like
Cross,
this.
KKK.
Don't you see
Kill
this
all
is
the
going?
black.
Some of the roots of the inflation are outside of our control, to state the obvious. But there are things we can do and we can address and we need to do. That starts with the Federal Reserve, which plays a primary role in fighting inflation in our country. I put forward a highly qualified nominees to lead that institution, and I strongly urge the Senate to confirm them without delay. The Fed has dual responsibilities. First is achieving maximum employment, and second is stable prices. And while I'll never interfere with the Fed's judgments and decisions or tell them what they have to do, they're independent. They're independent. I believe that inflation is our top economic challenge right now, and I think they do too. We've built a strong economy with a strong job market. And I agree with what Chairman Powell said last week, that the number one threat is the strength, and that strength that we built is inflation. So the Fed should do its job, and it will do its job, I'm convinced, with that in mind.
Okay, so Stephen, you were just talking about inflation. You were just talking about President Biden and what happened to the country since he came along. He's saying he has solutions. He's saying he's going to do things with the Fed, which today, what just happened today was Lisa Cook was confirmed as the first Black woman on the Federal Reserve Board. And this is what he's talking to. The Senate voted today 51-50, according to AxiosNews.com. The Senate voted today 51-50 on Tuesday, today, with Vice President Harris casting the tie-breaking, confirming Lisa Cook to serve on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. Cook is a professor of economics and international relations at Michigan State and is the first Black woman on the panel in its 108-year history. You heard President Biden talk about how he's going to let the Federal Reserve decide best way to help handle this inflation. Stephen, do you want to talk about what a good job President Biden is doing? Because he inherited the pandemic.
What? Stacey, you said it with a straight face.
Let
But
Aguna
he inherited. No, don't let Aguna talk first.
Wait a minute.
I want
He
you to talk
inherited
first,
what?
Stephen.
He
inherited the pandemic. He inherited all the monetary problems that came with a pandemic, with people not being able to work, people not being able to do this and that.
People were able to work.
They didn't have jobs. They didn't have money.
It continued. People could work. You didn't have to shut anything down.
What people are you talking about? On Mars?
So, Stephen, do you think that President Biden's handling it well?
No, I don't think Joe Biden's been handled well. I don't think the Fed has handled it well. I think everything could have been handled a lot better. We didn't have to keep printing money. We didn't have to keep doing the things we did. Right now, the Fed has their hands tied. We're in a really, really horrible time right now, worse than it was in the 70s. I lived through the 70s. Keith lived through the 70s. We knew how bad things were back then, and that's why people like Keith and I were predicting this is what we're going to get with Biden. We're going to get the 1970s again. We're going to get high gas prices, high food
What would
prices,
you do different?
high inflation.
What would you do different?
I would have done the policies of Donald Trump. I would have kept the policies of Donald Trump.
What is that?
The oil flowing. I would have kept the gas
So that would have stopped inflation?
I would have kept fracking. I would have kept doing. I would have.
Has nothing to do with it.
Knocked down the regulations.
Nothing to do with it.
Everything Joe Biden has done.
That has nothing to do with inflation.
Yes, it does. The gas
No, it
prices
doesn't.
have nothing to do with inflation. Diesel
The
prices.
oil supply doesn't. Now, mind you, oil prices are set by cartels and set by. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with it.
If the United States has a huge flow of oil, natural gas, and stuff like that, then
We've always had that. Oil companies set the price. They set the price. They set those prices. There's nothing to do with It has nothing to do with Joe Biden's policies. That's a false number. It has nothing to do with it.
Shut down our oil production.
What did he do to shut down our oil production?
Federal drilling.
What did he do? What did he do?
And the pipeline?
That has nothing to do with our production. It has nothing. That was coming from Canada to the Gulf Coast to be exported. It was going from Canada to the Gulf Coast to be exported. It has nothing to do with it.
So let me get a goon in here.
Saturates the supply. If you have more of a supply of something, the price comes down.
We've always had a supply. We didn't have a demand. We didn't have a demand. Of course, I'm about to get in that behind. That's why you don't want me to talk. We always had a supply. We never had a demand.
Let's talk about Guna. Let's talk about the high prices of gas and the fact that we're running out of baby food. There's no baby formula. How come we're running out of baby formula?
Let's talk about gas and let's dispel this myth. Okay.
Let's talk about the baby formula.
What Stacey, you gonna let me finish? You let these wackos talk, and then when I try to combat them, you let them off the hook. You let Steven off the hook. You're trying to baby Steven. The only baby formula is needed is for Steven because he keeps whining about stuff that's not true. We've always had supply. This whole thing about not having supply and regulation is a lie. Okay. Gas prices went up because the oil industry set them, okay? They weren't selling as much gas during the pandemic because why? People weren't driving. People were working from home. So when the pandemic, when the market reset, the economy opened back up, guess what they did? They tried to recoup their losses and they slowed down production to self-create a demand. All these prices are set. If you look at the cartel and the oil industry, there's plenty of oil. There's oil reserves. They're slow walking it out to the public because they want wackos and yahoos like Keith and Steven to continue to spread these lies when they're really the ones setting the prices. That's why there's really nothing that Biden can do. He opened up the oil reserves because he's trying to force them to lower the prices, but they're going to set and get their profits back regardless. This whole pipeline getting shut down, first thing, nobody in the interior states wanted the pipeline. You're talking about oil sands. Oil sands have to be refined and exported. Canada was going to ship oil sands through our interior across the Mississippi riverbed in order to get to the Gulf Coast in order to export it to the overseas market. It had nothing to do with our domestic oil market. And that's a lie. What you're suffering with inflation is the cost of low unemployment. We have a 3.6 unemployment rate. So that means that when people go into the job market and are looking for jobs, they get higher salaries. If you get higher salaries, companies pass that on to the consumers. So prices go up. So we're actually a victim of our own success of a economy that has bounced back so fast and so strong that I can leave my job today and make $50,000 more. What's that going to do to the cost of houses? What's that going to do to the cost of groceries? It's going to trickle down into all the other economic indicators that drive prices up. So what the Fed is doing, they're slowing down they're raising the interest rates to slow down borrowing so that the economy doesn't grow as fast. And that's what, and again, Biden is doing all that he can do. And it's funny because those on the so-called right or whoever, or whatever boogeyman, whatever people want to talk about, they never say what they would do differently, right? They always want to complain and whine about what's going on, but there's nothing they could have done differently. And in fact, if Donald Trump wouldn't have, he was the first to give stimulus. He didn't regulate a lot of the money that he threw into the economy. He just gave it to his friends. Apparently, that's what Stephen thinks is the right thing to do, is just to throw a bunch of money away. But when Biden does it, all of a sudden he's doing the wrong thing. Again, let's dispel this myth of energy independence. None of the oil companies in the U.S. want to be energy independent. They want to sell the oil overseas to the highest bidder. As a capitalist, I don't blame them. I want my stock market to go up. I have my Vanguard portfolio is the only index right now that has actually not lost money because of this robust economy. I want the stock market to go up. I'm a capitalist. These guys are populists. I assume that they want to sell oil only in the United States, and not even the oil industry wants to do that. There's this whole thing about energy independence. Mind you, oil isn't the only source of energy. Is a myth. Stop saying that dumb stuff. You sound like an idiot when you say it. Okay, so let's move on from that.
All right, Cousin Todd. Cousin Todd hasn't had a chance to speak.
Well, am I okay? I'm on now. I absolutely agree with Aguna, but
surprise!
Donald Trump has told Keith and Stephen and all of his supporters that we were energy independent. America first. We weren't.
We were not. Never. Nor do we want to be.
We were not. Never were. But
why do we want to be?
Trump knows those low information voters, and he loves the uneducated. So he says things to these people, and they believe it. So they used to say, well, we don't take him literally. We take him seriously. So now... Now you have people like Keith and Stephen saying Donald Trump won the election. There was fraud. And no matter how many courts, white Republican courts say, no, he lost. No, it was fraud. So you can't, it's like
we went from being energy independent to dependent in 1 year, a year and a half, just because, I don't know, I guess Biden waved a magical wand and all of a sudden, we weren't energy independent like on his first day of office, second day of office, 6 months in the office.
Right, but see, that's because you're taking them seriously.
So Stephen and Keith both want to get in. So wait, let me get Keith in, and then go ahead, Keith, and then Stephen.
Yeah, and I suggest that while we are talking, Stephen and I, you mute Aguna the way you muted Stephen.
They're muted.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So anyway, first of all, I'm a little confused about something because Aguna says he's a capitalist. And then Todd said he agreed with Aguna. I've never seen Todd as a capitalist. But anyway, Aguna says he's a capitalist. But capitalism means that you're moving capital. In order to move capital, you have to be independent. You have to be free to produce the capital and move it as you please to move it. And that is not what the United States is able to do. We haven't been able to do it since Biden. I mean, Trump deregulated so much. The man deregulated. I could go through an entire list of deregulations, especially with COVID. And they ignore that. They say, oh, it's not true. They call us all kinds of names. But I want to say these two are not, they are frauds. Aguna is a fraud. He calls us, he says, I'm a Republican and I support Trump. Yes, I am. And I'm also conservative and I am a capitalist for the reasons I said. He is a fraud. He's not a capitalist. He's not a Republican. None of that. The guy's just, he's, I don't want to use the word on here, but I would just say that the man is a fraud. That's about the nicest way I can say it. And capitalism is about moving capital as
so let me
you
get
freely
Stephen in here.
desire to move it. Go ahead, Stephen.
Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
And Keith, can you hear me?
Yep. Yep.
What they don't understand with you and I, Keith, is you and I are Ted Cruz supporters from the beginning. We, at some point we had to settle on Donald Trump.
That's right.
And Donald Trump did a lot of good for this country, but he also did a lot of bad. He put way too much faith in Fauci. He also does not condemn Fauci right now because he knows how rich and important and entwined Fauci is with this country. Fauci is one of the most important people in this country. He's one of the most important in the fact that you can't mess with him. You can't mess with Fauci. If you read the book about Fauci, you'll understand. But Todd, speaking of reading books, what's your level of education, Todd? You like to spit on me and Keith. Did you graduate kindergarten? I mean, I don't know. You like to talk about it. Maybe you have a degree in feminine hygiene. I don't know.
And by the way,
maybe you can do something with that.
By the way, Stephen, really another word I want to say is that Jesus said that I am come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. America is an abundant life country. We have had abundant life, but when the Democrats get in power, that abundancy now turns into lack. That's why they tell us in California, oh, we don't have enough water. They're going to turn off our water. They want to limit our use of water, limit the air we breathe by forcing us to wear a mask, also limit the amount of money that we can make, even when we're retired. See, that's all about the progressive government. And that's exactly what they did.
We are more stressed out when Democrats are in office.
That's right.
All right. Now I'm going to let Todd and Aguna respond before we move on.
What the hell was that, Stacey? What was that? What the hell was that? They completely lost their train of thought. They had no logic, and they just went on babbling about how much they hate the Democrats in America for the last 2 minutes. Neither one of them. Can I just hear one time? What regulation did Biden put back that Trump took away? Can you even name that? I mean, you guys are sitting here just babbling about how you hate America so much that you can't even make a logical point.
But if I were the audience, don't you think you'd be bored now? We just lost a listener.
I am definitely bored. The angry black man and Steven have just, I don't know. You guys are kind of railroading things over here. So we should definitely move on.
Stacey's letting them.
Well, he said I wasn't a capitalist because I don't like capital. What are you talking about? I just believe in the free market. and at the end of the day, the oil industries decide, oil companies decide where they sell their oil. They don't have to sell it in the U.S. if they don't want to. They can export it if they want to. Nobody's forcing them to sell it here. In fact, they want to sell it to Ukraine. They want to sell it to Europe. So even if we deregulate it, they can ship it overseas.
I'm going to move on.
Good evening, everyone. From New York, I'm Ayman Mohyeddin.
What the?
Good evening, everyone. From New York, I'm Ayman Mohyeddin in for Chris Hayes. We have some new revelations from Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense about the absolute chaos that he and others faced during the last year of the Trump administration. In an interview with 60 Minutes, Mark Esper described some of the dangerous ideas that were coming from the ex-president and his inner circle that he says, quote, could have taken the country in a dark direction. And Donald Trump even proposed ordering the United States military to actually shoot Americans. Esper says this happened during a meeting in June of 2020. Of course, it was when Trump was furious about protests against the murder of George Floyd. And he was considering at the time, according to Esper, sending thousands of troops into the streets of Washington, D.C. And absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. Cousin Todd, you brought this to my attention and talked about my guest book. Do you want to comment on what he said that President Trump said to have the military shoot Americans in Lake?
This is how ridiculous this president is.
Who was that fool?
That was Donald Trump, of course, being ridiculous as usual. And so when you hear things like this, I wonder, what does Stephen and Keith think about that? When you have a president, unlike any other president, saying these things, and he's serious, shoot him. Go out and shoot him.
Show me.
This isn't the first time. You said what, Stephen?
Show me Trump said this. Give me a video of Trump saying this.
See, this is the sick supporters
sick.
he has.
Bravo,
And they
Stephen,
all say,
bravo.
show it to me.
Bravo.
Show it to me. Show me the money.
Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah, Joe Biden's
Stacey,
laptop. That's a
Hillary Clinton's emails. Do you see that?
Okay.
So go ahead.
Let me just finish this.
Finish, Cousin Todd, and then I gotta get Stephen in here.
Todd, you have no
This is
credibility.
who we had, and Stephen, this is who we had as president. And these people, these two people right here, they thought he was great. Well, not Stephen. Stephen hated him. Then Stephen fell in love with him. Then Stephen was a never Trumper. And now, he flip-flops
He
like
didn't
that.
like him either.
Whatever Fox.
He called Ted Cruz's wife ugly.
Yeah,
What?
and don't forget, Ted Cruz's father killed Kennedy. And so...
He never said that. He never said that.
Show me the video.
Show me.
So anyway, this man had no business being president. Though I must say this. Though I must say this, I don't respect people that get out, that was fired, and then write a book a year later to make money telling their secrets. I have no respect for him.
Okay.
Should have been brave earlier.
Okay,
That's right.
that's it, Cousin Todd. You have to
And
stop.
I
You can't
only
talk
believe
the whole
half of what he
show.
says.
Why did you bring him
What?
up, Todd?
You rather the quacks talk the whole show, right?
We know who the quacks
Go ahead,
are, Todd. Bring
Go
him
ahead,
on.
Stephen.
Show
And you have
me.
to make your point quick.
No, why did you bring him on, Todd, if you don't have any respect for him? You know the guy's a liar. You know he's lying. Todd, I can't hear you. And that's how I like you.
All right. Let me bring Keith in.
Yeah, that guy, whoever that was speaking, I mean, he's obviously the guy is.
He was Secretary of Defense. He was Mark Esper. He was the person that President Trump nominated to be his Secretary of Defense.
Trump made a lot of mistakes.
Okay, yeah,
Trump
he
made a
sure
lot of
did.
mistakes.
That guy was definitely against Trump. You can see that. All this bias against Trump.
Don't
All
believe
these
him.
people, a lot of people who turned against Trump. How come I still hear him? Anyway, a lot of these people have turned against Trump, and it's quite obvious. So what we need to do is come back to the founding principles. Principles are Declaration of Independence and Constitution. The government is supposed to secure these rights.
Okay,
life,
Keith. That
liberty.
doesn't answer the question, really.
No, yeah. Let me finish. You always cut me off when I'm talking about the right stuff.
But
the
then
thing
they
is,
say, I don't cut you off.
no, you are cutting me off now when I'm trying to make my point. My point is, if government was to secure these rights, then it's up to the president, according to the Constitution, to also enforce the law. The law is to protect the life, liberty, and property of the people. Now, what Trump did was that very thing. He did it very well. Title 42, just to answer Aguna's question. They want to get rid of that. It's about to end. Okay? Title 42 was to secure the rights of the American people. When you come into this country illegally, I'm just using this for an example to give Aguna, some room to start lying again. But this Title 42 is to protect the American people from those who come in the country who might want to harm the people, terrorists. Okay. So they should be sent back. Your point?
Okay.
And they should be sent back.
Thank you.
But anyway, that was for Aguna to answer.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to answer it last time.
All right, Aguna.
What question was that? I mean, you kind of go on these tirades and you say Constitution over and over again as if that's going to actually bring your credibility and logic to the statement. You stop using the Constitution in vain, Keith. We all see that trick. You do it every week. Stop it. Okay. At the end of the day, Trump was a bad choice. He's in America. We made a mistake electing him as president. We made mistakes in the past. Okay. We corrected it. He lost. Okay. Now, his people and his supporters don't want to accept that. But so what? If you don't like this country, get out. That's what you always tell us. Hey, if you don't like it, get home. Yeah. American citizens vote. Trump didn't earn the right for the second term. It was a free and fair election, and we moved on. But as you can see, when Trump infringes on your rights, when Trump does stuff, okay, let's shoot American citizens just because they have a different opinion than me, okay, because I don't agree with it. You make all these excuses.
Yeah, so you want to talk about how Esper accused Trump of saying he was going to bring the U.S. military in on American citizens to shoot them.
But see, this collaborate. Everyone said Trump did these things. He wasn't the only one. And Trump hired these people. These are people that this guy, Trump, made a choice and hired. Now they're turning on Trump. So now you don't blame the person that hired him to begin with, who was Trump. You blame the person that's turning around and saying Trump did these things. So Trump is now a victim all of a sudden because he made this bad choice and they're turning on him. That's called poor leadership. That's why we fired him in the election of 2020. And so what? Your side lost or whatever. That's what Stephen likes to say. Your side, my side. I'm on the side of America. We have elections. Elections have consequences. He didn't earn the right to get reelected. He messed up COVID. He messed up the disaster recovery efforts in Puerto Rico and the earthquakes and all these things. He showed us time and time again who he was, and America rejected him. And so now, because he taught some Americans that being a sore loser is okay if you whine loud enough, hint, hint, the people on this show, if you whine loud enough and say things really loud and use stuff like Constitution over and over again, then all of a sudden, then you have the right to impose your opinion on someone else, even though they're an American citizen as well. So that being said, get over it. I'm glad he's out of the White House again. If he does this to people that he hired, just imagine what he's going to do to you that he doesn't know. What was he doing to the country? We dodged a bullet by not electing him. I'd rather deal with Joe Biden. At least I can disagree with certain things. And, he's hiring experts. He's not the smartest person in the room. He doesn't say he's the smartest person in the room. He hires people that actually do their job and who actually are qualified for it. And I don't have to agree with 100% of the things he does, but at least I can have confidence that he has some logic behind his decision, not because he saw something on Fox News the day before and wants to gain cool points or whatever. So I'm done.
Okay, thank you. I want to share the screen.
Stephen, we can't hear you. What? Stephen, what has Stephen been? Has Stephen been crushing beer cans on his head again? What's he doing? You're very flushed right now.
No, I want to play this. Aguna.
Yes.
The NBA playoffs are taking place right now. The Sixers are playing
and I'm trying to watch part of it. So I'm trying to keep up with
the Miami Heat. They came back. Do you want to talk about what they did to come back?
Yeah.
And how James Harden
actually hurt.
And Embid were playing, how they came back.
Yeah, and it looked pretty bad because Embiid was hurt because he shouldn't have been in the Toronto series. Or are you playing that clip? Wait, is that a commercial? Or are we on a commercial break?
No, I'm playing it live. This is a commercial for the live. Go ahead.
Okay. So I can go ahead and talk about the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay. So it looked pretty bad for the Sixers. Maxey wasn't playing well. Harden wasn't playing well. Embiid was out for 2 games because of concussion protocol. And so we went down 2 games to 0, and they were both on the road in Miami. And what happened is Embiid came back, and Djokovic won the MVP. So when Djokovic won the MVP and Embiid came back and was pissed off because he didn't win the MVP, that's what we got. We got the series tied up again. So we came back from 2 series down. Luckily, they're both in Philly tonight. They're in Miami. So it'll be interesting to see. Now it's a 3-game series, so best of 2, right? And if the Sixers can win tonight and sneak one in Miami, again, this is the first time they're playing in Miami with Embiid. If they can sneak one tonight and go back to Philly for game 6, we may be able to see ourselves in the Eastern Conference Final for the first time since like 2001, man. I mean, it's been a long process, and I'm looking forward to getting back in the finals. So hopefully, we can pull this game off tonight. I'm trying to pull it up. I don't know what the score is right now, but I know it should be almost halfway through the second quarter.
Sorry, I was trying. Yeah, it was past. I was trying to, and when it comes back on, I'll share the screen, even if it is like kind of we're talking about something else. But I was trying to share a screen so we could see them actually play live.
Oh shoot! The Sixers are down 14 right now in the third. Okay.
Down 14 in the third. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So, Aguna and Cousin Todd, you guys did not talk about how we are low, and Stephen, you didn't talk about how and why we are low on baby formula.
Well, we were just talking about sports. Are we going to finish that out?
No, because I can't get on there live to show the. He just said we're down 14. He made a comment about the Sixers. I said, if I'm able to show the game live, I will. But
you don't have to show the game live. But Stephen and I have opinions about sports.
Well, nobody cares about your opinion about sports, but we care about Stephen. So, Stephen, did you want to comment? I'm sorry. Did Stephen want to comment on the NBA game? I'm sorry, Stephen.
Yeah, y'all are down 18 now. I'm watching it.
Ah, dang. Embiid only has 8 points.
Yeah, it's not good right now. But he's hurt. He's so hurt. He is hurt. On him that isn't broke right now, and he's doing the best he can with what he has, and he don't have a whole lot more to play with.
Yeah, but let me say this to Stephen.
Right now, Butler is going off. He already has 20 points.
Yeah, the Heat's
you got to get your mic is very low, Stephen. We can hear each other, but you are too far away from the mic, and you probably have an Obama computer. Like you have the Obama phone.
I have a new computer.
Beard is getting in the way.
But I was so late tonight, I didn't have time to set it up. I had to use an old thing I've been using. So you're probably right.
Excellent.
Okay. For the first time on this show, you're right. Congratulations.
Oh, right.
Give him a gold star, Stacey. Give him a gold star.
All right, so wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Let me share my screen since I got it. Yay.
What happened to Keith?
What happened to Keith? What happened to my boyfriend? What did you do?
He went to a Trump rally. Uncle Ruckus went to a Trump rally.
Who's Uncle Ruckus?
Keith.
But what's Ruckus? There it is.
All right, so.
Hey, put it back on Aguna. I want to see the tears go down his face.
Where's my boyfriend, Jenny?
My screen, but I don't know why.
What's going on? I mean, are we supposed to comment on this?
Can you guys
see
it?
It's kind of tough. I mean, this is going to be. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Again, this is going to be a tough game in Miami. It's going to be tough to sneak one in Miami. I was hoping they would.
See, coming back after losing 2 in Philadelphia, for them to come back and sneak one in Miami.
But you know what?
It's tough to win 3 in a row.
Y'all have had a great year. You made it to the playoffs this far. Whatever happens, happens. You should be happy.
So it ain't over till the fat lady sings, Stephen. We're only talking about one game. We still have to come back to Philly regardless of what happens tonight.
All right.
I'm just saying, you need to come out of the basement, come out of your bunker. Come out of your bunker, Stephen.
Here comes Butler. Inside. Too high, brought it by.
All right, let's move on to Ukraine. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. See that the Sixers. Let's move on to Ukraine.
I think in the
long run. First thing, Stephen, you're a Wizard fan. You're a Wizard fan, Stephen. You're not a Heat fan.
But I'm
You're not a Heat fan.
Happy to come as far as you have.
Quiet.
Fan, you have a hard time accepting anything that's good.
Quiet. You're a bystander for a reason. Let the big boys play it out, and then you can comment.
Came this far, but you still
mind your own business.
You're on the couch for a reason. Let the big boys play this out.
Are you saying he's on the losers? You're saying he's on the losers couch?
From the couch. They're hating from the couch. Go. Right. I mean, the Wizards, Gandalf. Worry about the Wizards. Worry about Gandalf and all in Merlin and all the other wizards. Don't worry about the
Yes.
Sixers. We got this over here.
Okay, we're
You ain't
running
got
out of
nothing
time.
to
We're
Let
running
us
out of
worry
You
about.
ain't got nothing but losing now.
Okay, we're running
Good
out of
luck.
time.
You would
I
know
wanted
about that,
I
wouldn't you? You would know
Yes, I
about
would.
losing.
I'm a Washington fan. I know all
excuse
about
me,
it.
we're running
Now I
out
can
of
tell you about it.
time.
All
We're
right,
running out of time. We gotta do our round table.
let's go. Where's
And
Keith?
our
I
round
miss Keith.
table is
Aguna needs Keith, his
we
boyfriend.
gotta
I need
do our
Keith.
round table.
Let me just say this, Stacey. If you let me speak
And
for a
let's start
minute,
our round table.
you always mute me and you never let me finish. So if I can go to Article 6 of the Constitution and blah blah
You don't
blah
even
blah blah blah, the left.
you don't know the American Constitution.
Okay, let's start with our round table. We'll start with
Oh,
Keith, then Stephen, then Aguna, and then Cousin Todd. I want to talk about Ukraine. It seems as though we're talking about two things: Ukraine and COVID. Number one, with Ukraine, how can we continually to sustain our supply to Ukraine in terms of weapons and money when we're about to be out of money and unable to even pay for our own COVID vaccines and our COVID tests? How can we do that? Starting with Keith, then Stephen, Aguna, and Cousin Todd. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. That'll be a great question for Aguna when it gets to him and Todd. I mean, these capitalists seem to know that since we are now operating in capitalism, we ought to be able to afford it. All the money that we're printing up and spending, we should be able to afford it on Biden's watch. So that answers the question about Ukraine. Aguna should be able to answer it. Yeah, that's right. We're doing everything right. And the economy is going to bounce back. We'll get out. We'll be able to handle it, right? Robust
I'm listening for
economy.
a point. I'm listening for a point.
Well,
I'm
that's the
listening for a
point.
point.
That's the point. You just spent the entire show arguing in favor of Biden, so maybe we'll
I
be
just
able to
asked,
handle
what would you do different? I just asked, what would you do different? That's all.
Well, I just said it, just like Stephen said. We go back to Trump policies.
And
That's
that
what I would
is-
do different.
And that is
deregulate, get
Deregulate
drilling
what?
again,
Deregulate what?
deregulate oil and drilling. Allow them to drill.
It's not regulated.
Allow
What are you
them to
talking about?
drill. It is
9,000 unused
It's
oil
regulated.
licenses.
Yes, they have to pass environmental
9,000, over 9,000 unused oil licenses.
All right, you gotta let him finish. Okay, Keith, are you done?
Yeah, just about. Let me just say this without him chiming in until it's his turn. They have to pass everything they have to do before they drill, because they have to do the research, find out where the oil is, after the oil, how they're going to get it up, how much is it going to cost them. And then they have to go through the environmental regulations, and that is run by the federal government under Joe Biden's agencies. And that is bottom line. It's just like if I were to go and start a business, I have to go to City Hall. I have to go get a health check. I got to go get TB tested. I got to go get a child fingerprinted, to see that I'm not a child molester. All of that before I could start my karate dojo.
Okay, thank you, Stephen.
Yes, Stacey, do you have a question, or do you just want me to talk about it?
Well, I don't know if you remember my question earlier.
Yeah, I
Do
did.
you remember?
Yeah, but
okay, yeah, then that was the question about whether or not how are we going to continue to help fund Ukraine,
right,
and pay for all the ammunition we have to send, and still pay for the U.S. tests, COVID tests, and COVID vaccinations. As of right now, the U.S. has not made any arrangements with the pharmaceutical companies to get vaccines for us, for all Americans, 330 million of us, in the fall when we expect to hit a big surge.
You see, this is what Trump tried to eliminate. Trump tried to eliminate the fact that we have to put all of our tax money, everybody on this show, but maybe not Todd. I'm sure Todd probably doesn't pay taxes, but eliminate people in this country that pay taxes, that we have to fund everything that happens over there. This is the Europeans should be funding what's going over in Ukraine right now, not us. We keep sending billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars we don't have. But you know what? These people aren't on our doorstep. They're not next door to us. Why are we the ones?
Yeah, but we made an agreement with them that we would help them if they were ever in trouble, if they got rid of their nuclear arsenal,
weapons.
They had the second biggest nuclear arsenal. So we have to keep our word. And Nancy Pelosi has gone and said, that we will be with them to the end.
Stacey,
we have to keep our word.
You know where that logic ends? We're sending a bunch of troops over there too. A lot of people don't know we're sending a lot of troops, and eventually our troops are going to be over there as well, because that's where all of this is leading. Because
we're not
sending
troops.
Going to be there fighting on the ground as well.
No.
Europe needs to be spending all of this money that they never did. That's what Donald Trump said. Hey, Europe, you get the money, you spend your fair share.
Oh gosh, this boy is going in circles.
Chamberlain, never Chamberlain.
War for
World War II.
States, and neither country is any of our business. We should not be in this business.
Did you just hear what Stacey said?
Of propping up Ukraine right now. That's none of our business. And we
okay, move on.
What, Todd?
Okay, move on to the next question, because you're saying it over and over again.
What's the next question?
Well, the next
Stephen actually
it was about how we're going to pay for the COVID vaccines and the COVID tests in the fall. When we expect to surge.
Once everybody figures out that COVID's a bunch of garbage and it's from China, and the WHO is a communist Chinese-run organization, then we're all going to be better. We all are being played by the Chinese right now.
Dark web.
The communist Chinese. Yes, we're being played.
Dark web.
Okay.
Want you to know this,
I want you all to stop doing all those hand motions, please.
We're all being played by the Chinese, and COVID's a bunch of garbage. Still.
Okay, thank you.
So we can't do hand motions, but you can listen to this.
Thank
I
you.
gotta do hand motions than that.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. We're out of time.
Stephen.
We're out of time.
We know,
Thank you,
Stephen. We know you're crazy,
Thank you,
Stephen.
Stephen.
We got it.
You know I'm right.
Anyway, so actually, it's very funny because Stephen tries to start making sense, and then he just goes right off the cliff. Right?
I've made complete sense.
Part of it. Stop, Stephen. Your beard is tickling the screen. Stop. Keep your mouth closed and keep it still. All right. So the fact of the matter is, the Ukraine isn't necessarily our problem, but the money that we're sending over there is coming from where? It's coming from U.S. defense companies. We're making a lot of money, so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and we're also gaining influence in Europe. And I don't know if Trump wants to be like Nether Chamberlain before World War II broke out, in which you were just letting Nazi Germany move in. They went into the Rhineland, they went into Czechoslovakia, they went to Yugoslavia, they started going all over, and now all of a sudden you had World War II. You got to make sure that you take the fight to the enemy before they bring the fight to you. It's just been American doctrine for forever, and now all of a sudden you want to call President Biden a wimp, but then when he starts doing things about it, all of a sudden, we shouldn't be fighting over there. We need to go and do these things, and he's doing the wrong things. But just last week, Stephen was talking about how Putin needs to be stopped, and he's a dictator, and he's all evil, and he's all this other. Now, all of a sudden, he got a chance to look at Fox News, and now he comes in here saying, we got to stop it. No, what really is Putin doing? Putin, if we was in Mexico, we would do the same thing.
Okay.
So the thing about the COVID vaccine, and I want our listeners to listen very closely to what Stephen just said. Okay. Many of you listeners have people who have gotten sick. Many of you listeners have people who have died from COVID. And you hear some Yahoo on this show talking about how BS it is and how we shouldn't take it seriously. How does that make you feel? Do you think that he cares about your family? Do you think he cares about how the health and wellness of your friends? No, he wants to score a narrative with a far right agenda that's un-American, yet they want to claim they love America. And this is the danger of what we're talking about. This is the danger of misinformation, because he doesn't care about you. He just wants to sit there and say something's garbage when it doesn't impact him. If he had someone in his family that died of COVID, do you think he would say that on this show and insult the people and the viewers out there who did have someone who passed away? No. But he can sit down there in his bunker in his little basement and say these things out of privilege and out of lack of empathy for you. for you, the viewers. So I just want you to think about that when you engage people like that who want to say and impose their will on you and have no empathy for your situation. When it comes to your right to choose, when it comes to your right to vote, when it comes to your right as an American to have an opinion, they want to victimize you because you don't agree with them. But even though agreeing or disagreeing and coming up with a compromise is part of the American way of life.
Okay, thank you. Cousin Todd.
Okay.
Stephen, you got to put your little bit light on. We can't see you. You can't be pitch
Turn
black.
on the generator. Turn on the generator in the basement. The feds aren't coming
Turn
for
it
you
away
yet.
from you, but we got to be able to see you.
Stephen, we can't read that. Okay.
It says Fox News is for war. That's what he said. But go ahead, Cousin Todd. We're out of time. I got to cut you off. Thanks, Cousin Todd. Bye.
I thought that was a coloring book.
To our first responders in our community, you make our lives livable. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to our women and men of the U.S. military for all that you do and sacrificing your life so that we are free to say whatever we choose.
He's so crazy.
To say whatever we choose on this show. We are forever.
Look at Stephen. Stephen might just start shooting up his own house.
The Nigerian
Stephen, you better not be loading anything over there. All right.
Heath, the constitutional conservative. Stephen, the independent thinker.
No, he's not the independent thinker. He's the
He can't
Fox
even write a
News
note.
thinker.
He can't even write.
The dark
He
web thinker.
wrote that in
And
crayon.
I believe he's getting ready to do so. It took him a half hour to write this.
He wrote that in crayon. He wrote that in crayon.
He just wrote a ransom note.
On Twitter,
a manifesto, the Stephen manifesto.
The smart black people never got recognition.
The smart black people.
Like a
hurry up and get to your rally. Hurry up and get to your rally, Stephen.
Smart black people.
Good night. All right. Good night. We'll see you next week.
What was that?
That was our rock music.
That
was our rock music, our intro out music.
I'm out. I'm
that
going
was
with
our
smart
rock
black
music.
people.
Smart black people
we
never
have to,
got
I gotta get rid of that
dumbass black
that
people
picture, but I like the music.
Ooh.
Stephen,
So
be careful because you're crossing the line.
Check us out.
He's crossing the line. He doesn't
crossing
care.
The line, Stephen.
Okay,
so
he doesn't have a line.
Excuse me. Let's stop it. We're going to
Johnson and
check
Johnson
us out
said,
at
do not get our
Stop being emotional, Stephen. Stop being emotional.
All right, good night.
Stop.
Good night.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Back to your basement. Back to your basement.